Welcome everybody to the show. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. Today I'm approaching this episode with a little bit more of a serious tone. The show is called Fantasy Football Industry Exposed: The Truth, 10 Things the Mainstream Consensus, the Mainstream Analyst, the industry doesn't want you to know. It's a very important episode because it affects people in the industry and it affects you guys as fantasy football fans. And I want to keep it 100% real with you guys in this episode and explain these 10 points, how it affects you, how it affects your fantasy team, and how it affects people involved in the industry, how it's affected me and my experience. Now, before I get into this, I want to do a disclaimer. The fantasy industry is a great industry to be in, and there's a lot of good people in it. Now, I've had some bad experiences with a few guys, particularly, I'm not going to name names here, so I want to get that out of the way. There's a lot of good people in the industry. I prefer some of the smaller accounts and some of these up-and-coming passionate guys that are in the industry. That's my preference in regards to who I want to talk to. But I want to explain my experience in the industry and how negative it was for me and how the mainstream kind of tries to keep you down, okay? So there's reasons for all this, which I'm going to get into. So it's a very important episode. I encourage you guys, before I get into this, and I'm keeping it 100% real with you guys, please leave the thumbs up here and leave some, professional comments in the bottom in regards to points I make here. We want to keep it professional. We want to keep it real. I want to talk and just tell you my experiences, what I've seen being in the industry for over 4 years, and again, how it affects you. So professional comments only below. And I don't want any rude comments. I don't want to be mentioning anybody else in the industry. No calling anybody out. This is not about that. This is just explaining my industry, how it's affected me and how it could potentially affect you. And leave that thumbs up because again, I want more people to get this message and more people to speak the truth. Because I don't think anybody has come out and done a video like this to speak the truth. And I think it's very important as fantasy fans and people in the fantasy industry to watch this, to be aware of my personal experiences up and coming in the industry to reach the top of where I've reached right now and my experience, so that if you guys want to become an ambassador or if you want to do this for a living, you are aware of some of the hurdles that are coming. I just want to keep it real with you guys. Again, so smash a thumbs up, really helps the channel. Subscribe. And of course, if you want real fantasy content, make sure you guys subscribe and watch my other videos. This video is not about fantasy analysis. This is about the industry. So don't leave fantasy questions below. Keep it professional below. We're talking about things that affect you and the industry as fantasy fans and ambassadors. So let's talk about the 10 things the industry doesn't want you to know. Okay. And again, this is based on my experiences. Fantasy industry is a great industry to be in, but this is my experience as I'm breaking through, trailblazing, and changing the game, which I have done. Okay. So, and again, stay to the end because I'm going to share my story and some really, really good information near the end, especially those last 8 points here that I'm going to make on what they don't want you to know. It's very important that you guys know this. Okay. So let's start off with number 1. Okay, 10 things the fantasy mainstream industry doesn't want you to know as fans or even people coming up in the industry. Number 1, it's all about the money. All right, let's not kid ourselves here. I'm here to make money. I'm going to be straight out honest with you. Now, I want to let you know, the first 3 years in the industry, I was 60 grand in debt coming up. I started with a fantasy frame. It was like a league prize. You put your sports cards in, and it was like a league prize instead of a trophy. I came up with a fantasy frame. I spent a lot of money to make the frame, came up with the frame, came up with the idea, put a lot of heart and soul into it. Went to a trade show. The mainstream shot it down. It's a long story, which you'll get into a little bit later. But it is all about money. Now, when I first started this, I wasn't thinking about money at all. What I was thinking about is providing the best possible information. And I still think about that. But there is a business sense to it for me, okay? I have to do this to make a living because I've taken this on full time. Now, the difference between me and the other mainstream analysts, I'm not going to say all of them because there's, again, a lot of good products being offered. The difference between me and some of the guys that I dislike in the industry, and that's a majority of them that put out these cookie cutter BS rankings and all that stuff. The difference is I'm providing a draft solution. That's why I created 16 rounds. The advice in the solution is practical based on years of experience, dominating the industry, your questions, feedback, learning what works, learning what doesn't, tailoring it and customizing it for as close to a bulletproof method to help you guys crush your league. So I'm out to make money. Yes, obviously everybody is, but I do it with integrity and honesty, and I'm putting my heart and soul into the 16-round draft solution. The mainstream, this is my opinion. This is how I feel based on my experiences. I feel that the mainstream is strictly, or a majority of their intention is to make money. They're out to deliver a product just to, appease their bosses, the guys up. It's a business to them. It's not just a passion. It's a structured, methodical business that comes out every year. So my opinion on this is that their intentions aren't genuinely. This is a guy that told me directly, one of the guys that's so-called up here. I don't feel that their intention is genuinely that you guys win your leagues. They couldn't give a rat's ass whether you finish first or whether you finish 30th or 18th or whatever, how many people are in your league, 12th. It doesn't matter to them, okay? I care if you make it and you win your championships. Why do I care? Number one, I created my product and my brand because I was sick of what the information out there was being delivered. I was sick of the information. And if I don't help you win with the 16-round draft solution, you're not coming back next year, which means I don't make money. So my mission is that you guys win. For these big infrastructures, fantasy is a segment of the infrastructure. So they're not thinking, okay, if we lose fantasy or if a bunch of guys, we're going to keep putting out this cookie cutter information. If they win or lose, it doesn't matter. This is a business to us, okay? To me, it's how I eat. It's how I provide for my family. If I don't provide a good product, you don't come back next year. I want you to come back, okay? So it's all about the money. Don't kid yourselves. These guys are money-hungry assholes that are out for your pocketbook, and it's a business to them. So you need to be fucking aware of this, okay? Number two here. They're scared to be wrong, and they hedge their bets. What do I mean by that? Okay, they contradict themselves. Okay, I got to be straight out honest with you. I'm going to start breaking out of my shell as this episode continues. I'm going to start breaking out even more, and I'm going to get heated because there's a lot of, emotion behind this because I've experienced this. Now, as an analyst, I believe that I ride with you to the bitter end. When I tell you I like a player, I like him. Now, last year I got sliced up, and I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be held accountable here, okay? I'm going to be held accountable. I said David Johnson, in some of my leagues, I liked him first overall. Now, it's not my fault. I had no control over Kingsbury's decision to bring in a bottom feeder like Kenyon Drake, who did nothing in Miami, and start him over David Johnson. David Johnson will prove you wrong this year on Houston, hopefully. I love him, and I believe in him, and he will. All right, so listen. I said David Johnson, I like him, okay? But I also recommended guys like Saquon, Zeke, and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was my top 4 running back, I think, last year. So what I'm telling you guys is this. I don't hedge my bets. I don't say in one article I write, okay, listen, I like this guy, and I think he's going to be an absolute breakout. But in another article, I say I hate him, okay? So a lot of people do these articles. They say they hate a player, but in a video, in a segment they do, they say this guy's a breakout. Make your mind up, okay? The indecisiveness, the bipolar aspect of your advice, the misinformation is going to lead people astray. That's why tip number 2 is they hedge their bets so that they are never wrong, okay? So that's another reason why these consensus rankings, which we'll get to tip number 4 here, or point number 4, is that's why these rankings are so safe, because they take last year's top finishers and they tell you to draft them again in that order. Why? Because it's safe. Because they can't get ridiculed for their advice because it's a safe play. So they hedge their bets. Now, there's another podcast where these 3 stooges are in, and I call them the 3 stooges because they are very rude to me in real life, and they're dicks in real life. Although they play really nice on camera, but if you know them in business, they're cutthroat. And guess what? I'm 10 steps ahead of them every time, right? But these assholes, I'm going to be straight up with you because I've had a bad experience with them, okay? These assholes, one of them will say they like a certain player, and the other player says they won't like a certain player. And I like the difference of opinion. That's good. But collectively, they can't be wrong. Why? So they're called the 3 Stooges. Let's say they're called the 3 Stooges. I'm just giving an example, right? So Mo over here says he likes Christian McCaffrey, and Curly over here says he hates Christian McCaffrey. But collectively as an organization, right, as a group, the fans see it as the 3 Stooges, like and dislike Christian McCaffrey, whoever that player is, okay? So they always play it safe. They hedge their bets because one guy says something and the other guy says something. With me, I'm the counselor. If I say some guy's going to do well and he doesn't, I'm ridiculed. And that's why everybody says David Johnson round one. But again, they're focusing on the negative. They're not focusing on the fact that I said Henry early round two when they were drafting Damian Williams. They're not telling you I said avoid Odell Beckham 3 years in a row. The only reason they suggested Odell 3 years in a row is because he's a name and he's popular. So they want to play it safe and they want to hedge their bets. They're not telling you they told you Antonio Brown round two last year. They're not telling you they told you, who else? Le'Veon Bell round one. They went with Le'Veon Bell. They didn't take into account that Le'Veon Bell was going from the Steelers to Jets. They didn't take that under consideration, Now, when you watch this years down the road, we're talking 2018 to 2019 to 2020. This is in and around when you're watching. So this video, I'm sure, is going to be seen for years down the road. And I don't think this information is really going to change unless people start adapting and waking up and realizing there's a lot of bullshit in the industry, So hedging their bets. Tip number 3. The system is broken. There's a lot of wannabes. So what do I mean by that, I was watching, again, I will not name names, but I turned on YouTube and I was watching a video from one of the mainstream people, and there was this person, I won't say male or female, white collar, not white collar. I won't profile this person at all, But there was this person on, and I don't think they know anything about fantasy football. And they're a mainstream. They've got flowers on the side. They've got their ribbons. It looks like it's a pottery class. Now, I'm not saying you can perform your content wherever you want, but based on the staging of the stage I just didn't feel that this person was credible. Now, I could sit here and have bunny rabbits and puppets with me and still deliver information. It could still be good. It doesn't matter. It's about the content. But it's like when this person opened their mouth, it was the consensus rankings. It was last year's top finishers in the order pretty much they finished. Mind you, there is a little bit of variance. They have to be a little bit creative so that you pay attention, right? So they'll bring Dalvin Cook down. They'll move this guy up a little bit, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of wannabes. So again, going back to point number 1, it's all about the money. They will take, Johnny white collar, Ivy Leaguer, a guy that's come into the business because daddy made a phone call into the industry. They'll come in and say, hey, you need to go in there. We're going to give you something to read. And you got to read out the top 12 list. Oh, really? I get to do that? Okay, that's cool. Cool. Daddy gave me this job, by the way. I want 2 creams and 1 sugar in that coffee, please. Thank you. Okay, what do I do? Where's the list? This is what you're getting, guys. Okay, and it's cookie cutter information. There's nothing that this person is providing of value. They're not thinking outside the box. They didn't tell you last year that Derrick Henry would have had a breakout year, but I went in and I researched. He was talking to Eddie George's mentor. It was a contract year. He looked really good at the end of the season there in 2018, going into 2019. They didn't look at that. They looked at Derrick Henry as a guy that could potentially bust. And this year again, going into, they're not looking at Gurley in the top 10. They're not looking at David Johnson in the top 10. They're just looking at last year's top finishers. And that's a mistake because they're getting Johnny with the Ivy League white collar bullshit dad who made the call, got him into the network, and he's going to read a list. So there's a lot of wannabes and fill-ins in the industry who read scripts. There's a lot more talented people. And again, going back to the beginning of the show, there's a lot of smaller fantasy guys, smaller accounts with smaller followings that are 10x more talented. Okay, like myself, I'm number 1 in this industry on social media. I haven't gotten a call from a network. I haven't gotten a call. Why? Because I'm out here speaking the truth for you guys, so you guys actually win. Because if they brought me into a fucking studio, you know what I would do? I would rip up the paper. I'd say, fuck your bullshit rankings. I'm going to run this show my way. That's how I would run a show. Fuck the cookie cutter bullshit. That's not how it's going to be. That guy should not be drafted there. That's a consensus rankings. That guy's too high. That guy's too low. Odell Beckham. Last year, everybody thought I was crazy. Put that fucking counselor in a straitjacket. Put counselor in a fucking straitjacket is what they told me. Why? Because I had Landry ahead of Odell. I was the only guy that had the fucking balls to say Landry ahead of Odell Beckham Jr. That's it. I was the only guy. If a network guy came out last year and said Landry ahead of Odell, that guy would have been fired. That guy would have been fired. If they said Henry ahead of Damian Williams, that guy would have been fired or ridiculed for saying what they say. And that's the problem. That's a problem for you guys as people absorbing this information, but it's a good thing for me because I'm out here keeping it 100% with you guys and real. Tip number 4 here. I call them tips because I'm so used to giving fantasy advice. Guys, point number 4 on things they don't want you to know is rankings don't help you. That's why people say, Joe, you haven't updated your rankings at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. You haven't updated your rankings, Joe. Everything I do is based on 16 rounds because it's more practical. okay? If I just give you rankings, okay, that's not really going to help you, because here's the deal. And this is why draft kits are dead. I'll tell you why draft kits are dead. It's very simple. Because the rankings that these Sheepsis, the Consensus, the Mainstream, the White Collar, the Three Stooges, all these established podcasts are giving you is basically the same rankings you're getting whether you're drafting on whatever platform you're drafting on. So I go into my platform, I sign in, I see the draft order, I queue up my players. Guys, common sense ain't that common anymore, but the rankings that you see on the sidebar that you queue up are the rankings that these mainstream analysts provide, with a few variances. So I'm trying to be honest with you. There's a little bit of thinking. I know these dummies kind of think at some point or another, right? So there is a little bit of variance, but pretty much what you're getting in your draft, in your drafting platform where you're drafting your league on, those are the rankings you're getting in draft kits. That's why, again, I created the 16-round draft solution. Now, I'm not just here to plug my content, but I'm here to tell you that you don't have to just follow me and get my 16-round draft solution. I'm promoting some of the smaller guys out there that are up and coming, providing draft guides that are outside of the box. Go follow that advice. Just for God's sake, stay away from the mainstream. They will lead you astray. Go look at every top 10 list from last year. Go look at the 2019. Go get a magazine. I got a magazine right over here. I'm not going to pull it up, but because it's going to be profiling a particular network. But on the cover, I see Le'Veon Bell. I shit you not. 2019 magazine. I've showed it in my Instagram videos. Okay. Odell Beckham, Le'Veon Bell, I'm looking at it, and Antonio Brown are on the cover. Okay. These guys were heavily promoted. Why? Because they're elite talent names that have performed in the past. Okay. You can, recency biased. And I'm giving fantasy advice as I'm going through this. Don't buy into the recency bias. That's why rankings won't help you. Okay. Now there is some sort of structure to it to give you an idea and a guideline based on ADP. I mean, who comes up with this? Who says that, this guy has to be first overall? Who says that, right? It's the mainstream. It's the control, going again back to, it's about the money, controlling, overseeing everything. And that's why I'm going to break through it, which I am right now. And I have been the past couple of years. We're going to break through this. We're going to debunk all this. Okay. Number 5. Again, going back, I've touched about this a little bit. They're wrong every year. Dead wrong accountability, all right? So that's one thing they don't want you to know, that they're wrong every year. I'm accountable. You know what I'm wrong about. You know that I took David Johnson first overall in some leagues, but I didn't take him first overall in all my leagues last year. I had no control over Kingsbury, right? I do a lot more right than wrong. These guys do a lot more wrong than right when they provide fantasy football analysis. So again, I don't see people referencing last year in their new shows. This is what frustrates me. They have new shows coming out. In none of those shows are they showing you last year's rankings. Where are the rankings from last year where you told me Damian Williams top 10, Odell Beckham top 5, Baker Mayfield top 5? Where are those videos? Why are we not talking about this now? Why are we not looking at last year and saying this is where we went wrong? We went consensus, Sheep's cookie cutter, and why aren't we fixing it this year? They are extremely wrong. Why are they not talking about this? Why are they not bringing this to you? Why? Because going back to number 2, they're scared to be wrong. They're hedging their bets and they're playing it safe. Is this making sense to you? Is this starting to make sense? This is what fuels me. This is what drives me. This is what angers me, because you guys are getting the misinformation. Where's the accountability? With me, lion mentality, you know who I like. You know I like David Johnson 3rd round this year. You know I like Todd Gurley round 2. Couple guys. There's other guys I consider in those rounds as well. I'm not just honed in on one player, but you guys know who I like for the most part. My 16 rounds lays it out for you, okay? Who to draft in each round, optimal players, omitting all the players I dislike. It's all there on a silver platter. So you can call me, and I reply to DMs for the most part. Now I'm getting inundated a lot. It's very hard to get back to everybody, but I reply in the comments on my YouTube. I'm keeping it real. That's another thing. These guys don't keep it real. That's another point. Screw those guys, okay? Okay, so they're wrong every year, and there's zero accountability for these assholes, okay? Tip number 6, they fear the counselor. And that's not just me, but it's some of these smaller guys that are coming up. We are in a digital age where a network doesn't have control. We have platforms like this, like Instagram, and I've got multiple platforms. I've got multiple friends in the industry, up and coming players, YouTubers, other Instagrammers in the fantasy industry that are my friends. We've got a voice now. We've got a voice. and they fear that. They knock me and ridicule some of my picks, and they make fun of me. They call me the clownster. They ridicule me. I'm working hard. I got to feed my family, two assholes. I'm giving real advice. You guys are full of shit. Okay, I know you're watching, you little bitches. You have no authority to say, anything about me if you don't know me. I've had people start conversation thread. I'm not on Twitter, man. Twitter's 1999. We're with Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on platforms that fucking matter right now. Okay, YouTube. We're on platforms that matter. Now, you guys are stuck in Twitter, and you guys have like 1 million fucking followers and like 10 likes on your fucking tweets. Nobody cares about Twitter anymore. Twitter, these assholes go on, they start a thread about me, and there's other industry assholes that jump in that don't even know me, that try to bring me down. Bitch, you don't know me. If you don't know me, don't talk about me. If you haven't met me, don't talk about me, right? If you want to talk about me, that's great, gives me free exposure. Keep going. But what I'm angry about is that the misinformation. Joe's a clownster. Joe doesn't know what he's talking about. Dude, I'm 10 steps a fucking ahead of you. That's where I'm at. I'm telling you, I'm taking over. This industry's already taken over already. You guys know it. My audience is big enough. Council Nation is strong enough at this point to tell you to go F yourselves, okay? So you guys fear the counselor because I speak the truth. You try to bring me down for things that aren't true, okay? And you know what? At the end and you copy me. Let me tell you a quick story. I called a network. I won't tell you which network it was. It wasn't it was like a mid-level network. Okay, true story. I knew a guy that knew the owner of the network, or one of the top guys in the network. I suggested an idea for this network where they can segment me in one of their segments. So I think a week later or a month later or something like that, I'd give them my idea, a great idea to implement onto their app and onto their site. This was a great idea, by the way. I said, well, I'm willing, you can use my personality on your site. I'm the most charismatic guy in the industry. We know that. You can use me on the site. 1 month later, they get their fucking white collar writer who's never done a vlog in his life, and they get him to do what I suggested I could possibly do for the site. I was like, oh my God, this guy is like, poor guy's out of his comfort zone. The guy has no idea what to say on camera. Now he's kind of evolved. Now he went from suit and tie and he's wearing a backwards hat like me. Listen, they copy me, they fear me because they know I speak the truth, and they know I've got a set of balls, and they're a bunch of bitches, and they put their tail between their legs and walk away. You don't know me, don't talk about me. When you know me, you could form a proper, when you sat down with me, you talked to me, you know my family, you know where I came from, you know what drives me. And then and only then can you come at me and say, hey man, I don't like you, or I formed that opinion. The guys I'm talking about that I dislike, I've met these guys. They're dicks. One guy I met, he wouldn't even look. This is when I came into the industry. I'm a young guy, excited. Oh, Mr. Whatever your name is. They don't even look at you like they think they're celebrities. Dude, you give fantasy football advice. You're not a fucking celebrity. I'm bigger than you on social. I'm replying to comments. Get a life. Okay, number 7. Buzzwords get views. And I'm torn on this. I do this all the time. I do a lot of my episodes based on what people will search. And in these buzzwords were typically created by the mainstream, again, to get more clicks, to get more revenue. I do that as well. So I do shows that people search. Top 10 running backs, busts, breakouts. These are buzzwords that the algorithm and everybody picks up on social that people click on because that's the familiarity throughout the years. We're starting to change that now with lion mentality and sheep says there's other things that are happening with my brand, and we're going to start breaking the cycle here. But I do this to get views because I want more people to see my videos. So I will go in and create buzzword titles and logos and clickbait, but I support that clickbait with information. So top 10 running backs. Okay, a lot of people click on that. But my top 10 running backs aren't the same top 10 running backs from last year that finished top last year. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, so buzzwords for clicks. But if you're doing that, make sure that you're providing good information. Man, this video needs to be done a long time ago. People need to wake up. All right, these are very important. Number 8, very, very important. Let's go into this one. Number 8, it's a boys club. It's a cult. Now, there is an industry. I won't name the industry. It's an association, a group of people in the fantasy industry that get together. Now, I'm not saying everybody's bad in this industry, but I will tell you there's a lot of assholes. I'm going to share my personal experience so you understand where I'm coming from, okay? First of all, it costs like $2,000 plus to get to a damn event. A lot of young and hopeful people come in. They get to present their product to the industry. But this industry it's a big boys club. The guys on top are the guys overseeing everything, control everything. So I come in and I'm the trailblazer. I've never been acknowledged by that industry to be the trailblazer. I'm number one in the industry on social media, number one personality, best analysis, best advice, number one on Instagram, crushing it on every other social media platform. Biggest innovation with 16-round draft solution. Came in with fantasy frames. Got that project shot down. I went in with fantasy frames. It was the first year in the industry. True story. Just lost my dad. That's a big motivator for me. Okay. So lost my dad. I come into the industry. I go to this convention of this big boys club, this cult. I come in. I'm 60 grand in debt because I had a fantasy frame. Beautiful idea I came up with. I had a design patent on it. I spent thousands of dollars to create a back mold because the back of the frame, you can see the sports cards on the back of the frame, the back of them. You could take them, you could change your cards, you get a plaque engraved. It's a beautiful frame, beautiful custom frame, plexiglass on the front, custom design. Came in with this frame to the show, right? Showed it to some of these top guys. You know what they said to me? Remember, just losing my dad. Came in with this beautiful frame, beautiful idea. 60 grand debt because I had to create a plastic mold for it, get the products, materials, shipping, trademarking, patent design. I've invested a lot in this, my heart and my soul into this thing, okay? And I come to this industry, I show it to one of the guys who's the top guy. I don't know if he's a top guy there anymore. I don't follow I don't associate with this industry anyway. I go to this guy, I show them the frame. Straight up, I'm proud of this product. My dad, before he passed away, was helping me create this product. We were really proud of it. Polished, ready to go. Beautiful, gorgeous frame. I had it priced at $59. It was great. You know what he says to me? This idea sucks. It's been done. Now, he didn't say sucks exactly, but he goes, there's nothing he actually said, there's nothing special about this. It's not unique. We tried this in the early 90s. It didn't work. Nobody liked it. That's what he told me. Now, I'm all about keeping it real. So don't get me wrong. I appreciate the criticism. But dude, you'd never create anything like this because I had the design patent. The way the cards were laid out was different. The way the engraving, the unique backing on the back, it was a sexy looking frame. The reason I stopped doing it is because I wanted to move into podcasting. I didn't like the shipping and handling and organizing and putting the cards. It was hard, man. You got to source the cards. You got to, put the cards together. People will send a list of their teams. It's a cool frame. I might bring it back, but it was just hard to organize. I just didn't have the manpower to do it. It's not that I quit on it, but I had to shoot the thing in the back, the frame. I had to get rid of the frame and move on from it and focus on what I'm doing is providing better content. So again, that's what I got at the show. So it's a big boys club. And I went to one of the top guys there. It was actually my first year. I go, oh, Mr. John Smith, please, sir. I'm like, check this out. I've done some crazy things for the industry. Look at me. I've got like 30,000 followers on Instagram. I'm vlogging. No one's doing this. You know what he did? First of all, when I kissed his ass, I said, hey man, nice to meet you. Love what you've done for the industry. He was nice. But when I showed him how many followers, this was like 2016, 17. I showed him I had like 30,000 followers on Insta because I was posting every day, grinding. First to market on Instagram, hard. There's a couple other guys ahead of me, great accounts, probably on Instagram, but I was the one that really started vlogging. First guy to vlog on Instagram. He looked at it, he's like, you're not doing anything different. There's nothing special about that. Which leads to my other point, guys, number 9 and 10, which you could get to. Number 10 is ego, number 9 is ego. So going into Big Boys Club, into ego, these guys have massive egos. Massive egos. Now, I got to admit, I got an ego. But not as big to the point where I don't reply to comments, don't keep it real with people, I'm just an asshole in real life. The egos is unreal. And that's why, going back to point number 6, they fear the counselor because now counselor's coming in as the alpha. The alphas come in now, and finally a lion is in the sheep's herd. And now they fear the counselor. So ego is number 9. And number 10, these people are fake in real life. Listen, bottom line is they may come in friendly with their stuff in the show. Welcome to the show. Yeah. All that fake energy. It's great. It's good for entertainment. You meet them in real life. You go say, hey man, nice to meet you. Let's sit down and have a beer. Do you think they're going to sit down and have a beer with you? You think they're going to talk to you? Hey, security. I'm Mr. John Smith, bitch. you don't talk to me, that's what you're going to get. Why? Because I've experienced it. I'll give you an example. I was at a trade show, and this one group had like this app. I don't remember who they were. It was like a girls app for fantasy. It was cool. I don't even know the name of it at this point. This was like 3 years ago. So I went to the booth. I was checking it out. Really cool. Come back, go to my booth. Then Mr. John Smith walks over, and they're like, oh, and I see it, right? Mr. John Smith, can we have a photo? And apparently he took photos with them, this and that. I go back and visit them later. I'm like, hey, man, that was cool. John Smith was here. That was cool, man. You talked to John Smith. That was really cool. Like, that guy was a dick. I'm like, really? Like, yeah. They're like, he told us that when they take the picture that we can't have any of our stuff in the background. I understand if you're part of a network, maybe you're not allowed to have certain things. He told us to turn our computer screens off, not to use his likeness, not to do this. Dude, you give out fantasy advice. You're not a major A-lister celebrity. Sorry to break your ego and your bubble, dude. Fake. Another guy had a meeting with the same guy, a friend of mine that I know, had a meeting with this guy, the same John Smith, and I'm not going to name who it is. And the guy, I think he had paid for the meeting. He had a set meeting with him in his booth at this convention. The guy meets him, right? He's like, hey, man, I want to show you my app. It's really cool. Shakes his hand, whatever. He's like, listen, so we got to talk about this. He's like, listen, I got to go. John Smith said this to the guy that I know, a friend of mine now, who had this app. Listen, I got to go. My email's the same as my handle on Twitter or whatever it was. I don't know what he said. He said something along the line of, email me. I got to go. I'm too busy. What does he do? He goes and walks over to his booth and does nothing, picks his ass. Dude, these guys are fake in real life. I've met them. Go ask them. Go DM these guys and ask them to go for a beer with you. Mind you, I don't go for beer with everybody that I meet anyway because they're complete strangers, but I keep it real with people. Okay? It's all about keeping it fucking real. And these people are fake. Go right now. I encourage you guys right now, go find a top network, go find one of these analysts and start up a chat with them on Instagram. Hey, man, I like your stuff. Let's chat. I'm really curious to see if they reply, and then send me the DM. I want to see the thread. I'll show you my thread. DM me. I'll show you my thread. Put thread on my Instagram. DM me at Fantasy Football Counselor. Say you watch it. Say watched it. That's the code, and I'll see that you watched it. I'll reply back to you. I'll reply back to as many people as possible. And I'm not doing this to prove a point. I'm just doing this to show you. Well, okay, I am proving a point. That came out wrong. I am showing this to prove a point that these people are fake. They are fake. Okay, so bottom line with this whole thing, that the reason I gave you these 10 points is this. I want you guys to win your leagues. I want you guys to get genuine information. I want you guys to get advice from people that are genuinely giving it out. And again, yeah, welcome to the show. Yeah. That only goes so far. People want real people now. The fakeness is over, guys. The lights, the glamour, the puppets, all that bullshit, it's over. The future has arrived right here at the Fantasy Football Counselor podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up. Leave your comments, concerns below. Again, this video is long overdue. I'm going to make sure that everybody, their mother, their brother, and everybody that does fantasy football sees this video. And I implore you guys to share this video with friends, family, and everybody else that plays fantasy football and anyone else that's looking to get into the fantasy football industry. Keep your guard up, guys. Nobody is in here to help you. They act like they're your friends, they're your chums, they're this and that. At the end of the day, they're out for themselves. Going back to point number one, it's all about the money, okay? And again, I do this. It's about money for me, but that's to make a living. But it's about providing product first. It's about providing the proper service, the information, and stuff that's genuine that'll help you win your leagues, okay? So again, thank you for being here genuinely. I'm very humbled by this to have reached the point I've reached on with my social media and my brand. I do this with love, passion, and integrity, and hopefully that you guys found some value and understanding, and hopefully this opened up your eyes to the experiences that I've felt with the industry. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors. You got to be able to see past it, not only in your fantasy teams, but also in reality. And if you're following some of these critics out there and these ambassadors and these gurus out there, make sure you guys select the right ones and make the educated decision. Again, thank you for subscribing to the #1 fantasy football podcast. Smash thumbs up, leave your comments below. As always, thank you. And I will see you guys in the next video.